Hey traders, checking in on the stock market today. So another day of consolidation topped off with some weakness into the close. We still have our double tops on XLF, XLV, and QQQ, all of our major sectors that we're keeping a close eye on. The SPRT bounces following through, and in honor of the season opener for the NFL tonight, we'll check in on some sports betting names. So looking at the S&P 500 futures, we can see a solid bull move to start the day, but after the morning push, we gave a lot of that back. And we're back down testing the lows. One little example I want to give here, when you look at this hourly move and you say, well, is that an hourly trend change? We topped out, we pulled back a little bit, and then we saw continuation. And the real answer is it's not clear. You can make an argument that that's not enough consolidation to be considered a pivot to make that a trend change, or you can make the argument that it is. Whenever that happens and it's unclear, I always just zoom out, because what that tells me is the most likely scenario on a longer term time frame. So I can see here that even with that big bull move, we didn't really do much to change anything on the 4-hour time frame. Yes, it was a big move, but no trend change, still rejecting from EMA resistance, and here we are back down testing the low. So the 4-hour time frame would have had me keeping an eye out for just a 4-hour lower high to be the result of this bounce. And what that looks like on SPY is, again, just another day of consolidation. And really it was the bulls attempting healthy consolidation off of daily EMA 12, failing to see a new all-time high, and then dropping back down to test our recent low. So the pullbacks that we've seen and our SPY fear resets, as we've labeled them, the last 4 times we've pulled back, have been fast, hard drops. And we've gotten a little bit accustomed to that being how the market just sees these little resets, these little reset drops down. And this one is not as fast, and it's a little bit more leveled out and slow. It's slower developing. And that has me paying attention, because that has me saying, okay, this time's a little bit different. It's not the same, 3-day big fast drop straight into a move. It's less of a drop at this point in time. But again, the resistance levels that are developing on our larger sectors are a lot more clear. So a conservative bull, or someone who has a lot of long exposure that they want to protect, or a really aggressive bear, there's very clear levels to be playing off of. And they're top fishing levels, essentially. So if, let's say I have, a long-term retirement portfolio, and I've got Apple, Amazon, and big tech is a big part of that portfolio, I can be entering a bearish position right now. And if we see, I'm either shorting QQQ or I'm entering the leveraged inverse ETF, SQQQ. And if we see a clear higher high, then I stop out. And I give a little bit of wiggle room, because there's plenty of times where we see a bull break that lacks follow through, marking some temporary tops. But it's not a whole lot of risk, right? If we see a clear new all-time high, I'm going to stop out. And it's really just leaving a little bit of money on the table. It's what I call an insurance play, because I pay a little bit in my profits. And if we get the bull break and I stop out of my short, my long-term portfolio is still going up. But if we don't get the bull break and my long-term portfolio starts losing value, I'm making money on that insurance play. So there's a top fish on QQQ. You can see our resistance here failed to break resistance. If we drop down and break 378.45 support tomorrow, that will stand out to me as far as, again, an inability to break resistance, resulting in a break of short-term support. XLF, we have our double top at the all-time highs. The daily bounce got underway today, finally. Lower high every day for 6 days. That pattern has broken, but we have a big upper wick on the daily candle. So tomorrow's going to be telling. Can the bulls follow through on this bounce and try and keep this daily uptrend going? We are technically still in a daily uptrend, or do we confirm a daily downtrend by breaking 37.55, which is now the most important short-term support? And XLV, double top at the all-time high, a break of 133.97 would be very notable for me as far as losing the daily uptrend, entering further weekly consolidation, but most notably the double top at the all-time high. I can't remember where we've seen so many double tops recently on all our major sectors, because again, what usually is happening is one name is consolidating while another name is going up, and we're seeing that rotation going on. And right now there's no, rush to the exits, but it's just this slow inability to break resistance is what it stands out to me. So the fact that it's different than the last 3 times the S&P 500 has consolidated is the biggest thing that has me paying attention. for whether or not this is going to be a bit more significant consolidation than we have seen in the recent past. And again, we've seen 300 something days with no 5% pullback in the S&P 500. At this point, we're only down 1.5% from the all-time high. And the previous pullbacks have been 2.5 to 4% these last reset times. But again, just paying attention because the setup is here for the bears. The question is, can the bears take it? And what also stands out to me, one more thing, something we have not seen a lot recently in the past, which is bears doing something overnight. We are dropping to lower lows overnight now, 2 days in a row. And that hasn't happened in a while where, normally it's the bears failing to do anything overnight, keeping the bulls in complete control. So just some things to be paying attention to, watching the potential of a little bit of a shift in the market environment. IWM, daily bounce tried to take place today and started the morning really strong, but gave a lot of that move back. And we had a short trade on IWM. I've been really trying to focus on just one trade a day these days. And I'm really just pumping the brakes and slowing down at the end of the year here because I did get a little bit burned out psychologically. It's been a great year and just really, really active and tons of trades, hundreds of trades, and just slowing down. So I'm limiting myself to one trade a day, which means I'm keeping it to a really good setup that I feel is going to be a good one. And, it's not a hard, fast rule. If something crazy happens in the market, I'm going to take more than one trade. But if it's just a normal day, I'm going to stick to one trade. So for IWM, it was just a short up here when the pattern of a higher low every candle was lost. And I'm going to make a video. I've labeled that trade style now. We've got our back burner trades, but I've labeled this kind of trade a stair-step strategy. And it's going to be stair-step top fish and stair-step bottom fish. And today was a stair-step top fish. And I will use this example from the trade today in a video that I'm going to make over the weekend. And it's going to be a fairly quick video because it's a fairly simple style of trade, but it will be a nice one to add to your tool belt as far as something to be keeping an eye out for, and a decently low risk, high reward setup, which is the kind of setup that we want. So IWM, if we drop down and break 222.63 from here, again, it'll be the same as everybody else today, a bounce that saw a little follow through into a break of short-term support. Biotech sector, same deal. Daily higher low is now set at 131. And the bulls would have to break 136.61 to see uptrend continuation. Fidelity's going wild over here. If we fail to break 136.61 and drop down and break this support level of 131, we confirm a daily downtrend into weekly consolidation. So all our major sectors, and XBI is not a major sector, but showing signs of what the bears could do to prove it to us in the short term. Checking in on the MJ sector, bears in complete control. They've had a big drop the last couple of days. They've had a bearish correlation to IWM as they are trading. There is this falling wedge on CGC that we're still keeping an eye on, but I've stopped out of a decent amount, probably half of the positions that I had. And again, these were just aggressive entries looking for a momentum shift, bigger picture, and looking for this sector to run with IWM over the last 2 weeks. And obviously, we have not seen the bulls prove anything. So at this point, if I stop out of this trade entry attempt, what I want to see is a weak sector get smashed into the ground. I want to see SPY start monthly consolidation so that this weak sector gets way overdone to the downside, because that is what happened during the COVID dump. USMJ at that point in time was already weak for a few months. And this is just Curaleaf, CURLF, one of the major companies as an example. But look at 2019. We topped out at the all-time high, and then we pulled back month after month after month all summer. And then heading into COVID, we just got trashed and crushed. And then once the dust settled, we saw 700 to 1,000% bull runs. So I'm looking for the same thing. I'm looking for a big pullback. I'm hoping for, I should say at this point. Here's the ETF, MSOS. We've given back 70% of this move. Crypto, when it blows off after going to an all-time high and then had a blow off top, it pulled back about 80, 85%. And I'm comparing it to that at this point because those are the psychological cycles that we're going through. Maximum euphoria to maximum fear. So again, if we do see SPY consolidation looking for a monthly high or low, I'm going to be looking at this sector to be absolutely crushed. And that's when I would be interested again at this point. Again, I do still have some names, some positions open. TLRY hasn't broken daily support yet. I'll put out a weekend video on the MJ sector as I have the past couple of weekends again as well. So 2 weekend videos coming your way. The VIX. So we know the VIX is watching this prolonged falling wedge. And we know that when this breaks bull, again, not if, when this breaks bull, it will likely be SPY seeing monthly consolidation. So here we are starting a weekly bounce. And the difference this time around is we had to move from a low into the bounce, fresh low into the bounce, fresh low into the bounce, higher low. We got an equilibrium is essentially what I'm trying to say. So a falling wedge, you got that image, but we've got a low, high, higher low, lower high, higher low now, and anything under 2474 will keep us within this equilibrium, but this setup's different than these previous ones because these were, again, we're all coming off a fresh low is where the bounce started. This one wasn't. There's one example where it wasn't. But we can say over the entirety of this year, we have not seen a weekly higher low and higher high. So if we see an equilibrium tighten up and then break bull here, that's going to be the one that we've been waiting for all year. So again, we're not falling asleep on this pattern. Keep an eye on it because we know SPY is due for monthly consolidation and we know that this falling wedge will likely break bull. Again, if we keep hitting all-time highs in SPY and we're not dropping down to break this falling wedge bear, we know it's just going to be time and then a bull break. The question is how much time before the bull break. SPRT, bounce follow through. Great day for the bulls. This is a very wild mover. As I said in the last video, again, smaller position sizes because of its volatility. But at this point, off of the low, we have made a very significant move of 55%. It doesn't look like it, right? It looks like a tiny little bounce. It's a 55% move, which is why I watch plays like this because these names, supply and demand, it's just the scales tilting. Maximum euphoria, maximum fear, bounce. And this is the bounce, a 55% bounce. Hourly uptrend underway. Certainly no bullish entries at this point because we know the most likely scenario is a daily lower high. And the question is how much retracement can we get before we get that daily lower high? You can see we're not even close to a 382 retracement. But now, after watching the pattern of a lower high every day, we're watching the pattern of a higher low every day. How long can the bulls keep this move going? And resistance is going to be 29 after 27.57. And betting names, NFL opener tonight. I'm a big Tom Brady fan. Grew up outside of Boston. Can remember the game where he came in for injured Drew Bledsoe. But DKNG, one of the leaders in the space. You can see we set a monthly higher low off of EMA 12. And the all-time high is 74.38. What's the most likely scenario in this situation? A lower high, in my opinion. And again, we're not buying because it's, NFL season is starting. We've been going up the past 2 months leading into the NFL season because it's a known event and it gets priced in. So DKNG is a leader. Look how similar DKNG is to Bitcoin. I know they're unrelated aside from the technical setup and the psychology of the setup. But look at the monthly where we had the breakout to all-time highs, the pullback for a monthly higher low off EMA 12 support, and then the retracement where we have topped out at this point is a retracement of about 68% on Bitcoin. DKNG, all-time high, pull back off monthly EMA 12, and then retracement at this point, right up just a tiny bit higher. Very similar. What's the most likely scenario? A monthly lower high, in my opinion. But the bulls are still in complete control. Aggressive bears are scouting the pattern of a higher low every single day. Stair-step top fish. 3, 6, 9, 12, 14 days in a row. Inside bar today, if we break 62.82 tomorrow, that's a signal for daily consolidation. But we would have to lose the daily uptrend as baby step number 1 to be looking for a monthly lower high. But even when we lose the daily uptrend, there's tons of space for a weekly higher low to be the result of the next consolidation. The other name that I watch is Penn. We were watching Penn for the monthly bounce, and we got it. The question now is how much follow through do we get? So daily uptrend here, higher low was 80.73. 81.20 is attempting to be a new higher low, and 86.40 is short-term resistance. So just a couple names to keep an eye on for volatility into the NFL season, but watching closely for DKNG daily consolidation to be taking place here in the short term. I appreciate you watching. Feel free to ask any questions, do good things, and I'll see you with some weekend videos, stair-step trade strategy, and MJ sector.